about how we can, thank you, Ari, about how we can start unlocking staff potential through professional development. So let's go ahead and get started. As you may be aware or not, I'm Keisha Palmer. I'm the Director of Systems Change. I have been with Iowa CASA for about 2 years now, almost 2.5, I think. And so super excited to be here with you all and be part of this movement, even in these most difficult times. So real quick, yesterday I was in a conference and one of the takeaways I had from one of the presenters was like, everyone that you're in space with should be heard. And so what I want to do is give you each the opportunity to introduce yourselves and say your name and your program and share one thing you want others to know about you. Learning objectives. Thank you. Some of our learning objectives for today are to define professional development, understand the importance of professional development, learn methods to identify developmental needs of your team, and develop individual development plans and explore other practical applications. Any questions? Wonderful. My first question to you all is, what is one professional development opportunity that has helped you grow? And feel free to unmute or put it in the chat.
I think the one thing for me would be maybe mistakes, lessons learned, learning
Absolutely.
from missteps. The other thing that where I've probably actually learned more about how to do things the appropriate way, and addressing things as opposed to avoiding conflict, which I love to do. I have a couple mentors that work full-time in HR. And I think that has been very helpful for me. Just
awesome.
Be able to call them and kind of talk through things. So
absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
You bet.
I also am one that learns when after I like mess up, it's like, oh, I won't do that again. Like, right. And so, yeah, absolutely. And Melissa, I think you put something in the chat.
Oh, I'm just in the middle of an OVW site visit, but I thought this topic was interesting, so I wanted to hop on. But I just saw it come through on my email, and I'm like, oh, I have a break that I can log on a little bit. So anyway, I'll try to stay on as much as I can, but if I'm in and out, it's because of this site visit. So
hey, I understand. And it's go ahead.
But for me, I think it's just being transparent with staff and saying, I don't have all the answers or pretend to have all the answers. I'll get back to you on that, or give me some time to reflect and think about it. So not always having the need to have the answer right away, or even pretending to know, right? We're all human and we obviously don't know. But I think when I first started and we did the membership meeting, there's my first membership meeting, I had another director come in to introduce themselves. And I think one of the best advices she said is, just fake it till you make it. And just very vulnerable, and kind of like, you don't have to know all the answers, and you just have to be transparent with staff and say, really, I don't know, or I haven't faced an opportunity or a situation like that, but let me check into it.
Absolutely. The transparency and just the honesty, super important. Great advice. Anyone else? And it's okay if you're like, I just got thrown into things and haven't really had intentional professional development. That's okay. I think that's a lot of how the work we are in happens. Like, here we are, let's just go.
I just always compare it to my first 2 weeks here at Luna. It was just a whirlwind. Like it wasn't even in the office. I went to the first OVW grantee orientation. That was my first day. It wasn't even at the office, right? And so I get handed this folder from my financial person, and she said, oh, the other director wrote a grant to start an office in Marshalltown. Here you go. You can read it on your way to DC or whatever. So I'm like totally lost because I don't even know what OBW stands for. So I'm literally looking what OBW is. And so when I have to introduce myself that day, and they're like, I'm like, I'm Melissa, I'm with Luna. This is my first day. And they're like, and they're all like, oh, type of thing. And so, we're learning all these acronyms at the same time and what we have
Yep.
to do. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a whole new world for me. I don't even know what I got myself into. And then the second part of that, I get a call from the CVAD grant. At the time it was CVAD, right? I still call it CVAD. And they're
Yep.
like, are you going to turn in the application? What application? Oh, the one that's, that's due next week or whatever. And I was like, I didn't even know anything about that. So that's kind of my baseline for what happens nowadays. Like if I survive those 2 weeks of pure hell, because I'm like, am I on candid camera? Because I know to write a grant that people take a month or so to get ready for. I said, and this is the grant that pays for all the all the current positions at the time. Yes, I'm like, okay, Luna's going down and it's going to be my fault. And that's the legacy that I'm going to leave, that in my 2 weeks, I, brought the agency down and stuff. So I use that as a baseline. Like, okay, if I survive those 2 weeks, I think I can survive pretty much anything. But it was a living hell when I first started here. And of course, the previous director had left already. So like I was on my own. It was a sink or swim type of opportunity, right? Or situation. And it's like, okay, if I can survive those 2 weeks, I think I can pretty much float on everything else. It doesn't mean that I haven't made my mistakes or that I could have done things better. It's just like, okay, I'm going to sink or swim, but I kind
Yeah.
of learned to pull resources. And I think that's another survival is like, if you don't know the answer, at least know where to go and pull your resources from so that you can continue to, float and get you out of that crisis situation. So.
Yeah. And for me, being new to the movement, sometimes that's even hard, where to find the right resources for the right things. And so think about how you felt in that space. Like that is a method that we want to try to avoid for anyone else coming into the movement where they're just thrown into things. Like, how do we become more intentional? The next question, though, is how are you currently supporting, or how do you currently support staff development within your agency? And you can unmute. Yep. Drop it in the chat. And if the answer is, I'm not sure we're doing that or we're not doing it well, that's okay too. Like, that's why we're here. Because we are also in transition and really trying to be intentional about how we're doing that with coalition staff as we onboard staff and all the things.
For me, I think
Good.
we don't have anything like formal in place. I know that because of some OVW grants, there's some mandatory trainings that staff have to go to.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's trainings that are coming up that I thought would be supportive, or even webinars, I'm really good about sending those out to staff, especially the webinars, or if there's training, if you'd like to attend this, train, let me know so we can start prepping to ask for, permission to attend these. Like for OVW, like there's ones that you have, if they're not OVW, you have to ask permission for, and I'm sure CVD is the same thing, right? That you have to ask for approval. So there's a process for that. But at the free ones or webinars or things like that, I know there's one that came out about human trafficking from CVAD
Mm-hmm.
yesterday. And so, I talked with my assistant director to see if this would be a good training to send staff to, because I feel like that's an area that we need more training on. So but as far as formal training plan for everybody, we don't have that in place.
Yep, that's okay. Perfect. Thank you for sharing that.
We provide continuing training opportunities. We have team meetings, team building opportunities, so that we're a pretty small agency. So if one advocate may be struggling, we have that other team members and can step up and provide guidance, as well as our executive director. So.
Awesome. Awesome. And what about like just in your supervision meetings? Are you doing any type of staff development within those spaces? Do you have time to do, supervision? Because I know that's a struggle on my end as well. So, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit too, but I think the standard is weekly and I'm like, what do you mean? Go ahead, Mary.
So, and I would say we have, I have the luxury, I only have 3 direct reports, so I think that's a little easier. And we have what I would say informal, connection,
Mhm.
probably almost daily or at least a couple times a week, but then we have a very structured, formal one-on-one supervision scheduled for an hour, once every month. And that's
Mhm.
not to say that's the only time, but those are structured where there is more of that. And one of the things I have focused a lot on just in the last couple of years is lifting up my supervisors so that someday I can leave and they can seamlessly,
Absolutely.
hopefully, take this on.
I love it. Love it. Thank you all. So what is professional development? It's the ongoing process of enhancing one's skills, knowledge, and abilities to improve job performance and career advancement. And one thing I feel like gets lost within this definition is that career advancement piece, right? Like we want the people to produce and have good job performance, but what are we doing to prepare the next level of leaders? Just like Mary was just saying, to prepare the people to be in this spot when I am not. Like, are we in a space where we're doing that? Or I know staffing is hard. Like we hear it from you. And so are we getting in this spot where like, we just want to keep you here. We just want you to do the job. And so it's like, I don't want you to move on and I don't want you to advance. And even thinking beyond that, like, what does this look like to advance someone outside of the movement, right? You don't have to be in the movement to do the work of the movement. And so are we preparing people as they leave to like continue to have these skills and abilities to carry our movement forward, therefore us having broader reach, right? A very basic definition is just professional development is training given to people working in professions to increase their knowledge or skill, which I think is kind of where we sit often. Like, I want to train you to do the job that I need you to do, but like, what is it that we need to do for that next level, that career advancement, that moving forward, right? And so one of the, I forgot to take these animations off, but that's okay. One of the frameworks by the creative leadership, a Center for Creative Leaderships is the 70-20-10 framework, right? And that gives you a guide. And so while the definition in the previous slide focuses on training, this one is kind of like a model of development. And so what it says is 70% of learning and development should come from on-the-job learning. So that in-person, on-site, what you're doing at your facility. 20% from coaching and mentoring, and then 10% from that formal learning. So like trainings and conferences and just self-assessments and other type of like educational opportunities. And so this is important because it highlights that the most effective professional development happens on your job, happens where you work, where you're at within your programs, right? And that can range from doing special projects to having stretch assignments to even taking on more responsibility or having an expansion of your role. And when you do this integration, so of that on-site with the coaching and the learning and the formal, you're going to have the most efficient and the most effective professional development. And so what this plan does, it really lays out the steps that will help you develop the competencies that are needed in a way that you can share and provide and track progress, allowing for mentors and managers to support an individual. And I think oftentimes like it feels like I have to do the thing because I'm the manager, but how can you incorporate the team to do all these things, like with the on-site, with the coaching, and even providing formal learning within your team and within your agency? So I thought, oh, sorry, friends. I thought that was this is a very cool framework and one we're trying to implement at the coalition as well. So the importance of professional development, right? We all know that being part of this movement, we have our own unique set of challenges, secondary trauma, turnover, burnout, and we are experiencing that probably even at a much higher capacity with the current state of affairs, right? And as leaders within the movement, it's important for us to figure out how we can combat those things and really help increase retention and job satisfaction. And so that's what professional development can do. At the center of the work we're doing are survivors, right? And when we're intentional about professional development and skill building for our team, then we are ensuring that the services that survivors receive are of high quality, and they're getting the best services that they can across our state. And so by engaging in and being intentional with your professional development, you're able to do that. It fosters employee engagement, satisfaction, and potentially loyalty, right? When you demonstrate a commitment to someone's growth and development, as well as their career advancement, then they're like, oh, okay, I see. I see that you see me. And then there's this sense of loyalty and commitment that employees can have to the agency. And you're also providing them with new skills, new knowledge, and a confidence to excel at their role. Like, how do you feel when you know that you know what you're doing and you can present? Like, there's a different level of confidence that shows up in you when you feel like you have the skills and ability to fall back on, right? Excuse me. And that's what we want to do with the advocates and the people and the staff and managers or supervisors that we're working with as well. Instill that confidence so that they can show up in a different way. And then really just contributing to the positive culture of your workplace, right? If people feel valued, or they feel like you care or you see them, then they are going to, like, that culture around your office, around your program is going to be enhanced. It creates a sense of loyalty and commitment, which also leads to those higher retention rates. I know there was a study, and I don't know if we were able to find it, that AdCodva had done that really talked about like what advocates were feeling and experiencing. And so this is we can build off of that and say like, okay, this is the feedback that we received. How do we address those things directly? And Ari, if you can find it, feel free to drop it in the chat. Otherwise, I don't remember. I think it was before my time, but that was one of those things that it was good feedback for us to reflect on and really think through, like, okay, this is what we're receiving. How do we address those things? So when you're thinking about assessing development needs, right, the primary purpose of that is really to support the professional development of the person, the staff, the team, the whatever, right? You want to enhance their goals and productivity. It also helps employees identify individual development needs, align their goals with the organizational objectives, and make informed decisions about promotions and projects and training and job assignments, right? And so if I'm able to have a plan, or I have a goal in mind, I'm like, we have this opening and maybe that's not where my strong skill set lies. So I'm going to go let someone who really can excel in that role apply for it, versus like just grasping for things, or like, hey, I'm really interested in this project and I don't mind being a second or a support, but I would need someone that can really lead it. But I'd like help me enhance that skill. But through structured assessments, organizations can foster a culture of continuous improvement, increase job performance, and ultimately just boost in the morale. Some of the benefits of employee assessments are just objective evaluation, enhanced self-awareness, talent identification, and performance improvement. And so we're going to kind of talk through different types of assessments. So that performance assessment, which is the one that we're probably most aware of and try to utilize more often, is a crucial component of employee management and development. And it's often conducted annually or semi-annually. And these evaluations provide structured framework for assessing the employee's job performance and growth. They allow the employers to recognize and reward outstanding contributions, identify areas for improvements, and set goals for the future. Performance assessments are vital in decision-making processes related to promotion, or just salary increases or individual development plans. And so by analyzing their achievements and weaknesses, it helps you align that individual with the agency. And it hopefully is fostering this open communication between you and your employee. But that being said, the performance of assessment that happens once a year should not be the first time an employee is hearing about something, right? This should not be the first time that they're hearing about a growth opportunity. If you're doing supervision, whether that's monthly, weekly, or whatever, like those are those spaces for communication. So when they see this performance assessment, it's not a surprise. Yeah, and so another way to do that is the 365-degree feedback. Has anyone heard of that? Or is anyone using that? Not using it. So essentially what that is, it's just a way, like holistic perspective. You're going to collect input from multiple sources. So it could be other supervisors, colleagues, external partners, different advocates, survivors, like just a way for you to pull information and feedback from multiple sources. And it allows this well-rounded view of an individual, right? Instead of like, oh, I'm your supervisor and I'm going to give you all this feedback. This is like that circular feedback. And so it minimizes the amount of bias. And it's really for professional and personal development. When you hear it from different perspectives, it's like, oh, it's not that you just don't like my style. It's like, oh, this may be occurring in multiple places. Like, oh, this is an area for me to grow and work in. This could also help with like how their behaviors or actions are showing up externally. And then really just work on how to be more effective and within the work that they're doing. Oh, sorry. Let's get myself together here. Let's do this. Okay. Skill and competency assessments. Oftentimes those are used right during interviews to see like, can this person show the skill that we need for this role or this project? But what are ways that we can maybe use those outside of just the hiring process? Like, oh, you know what? I'm thinking about Melissa for this new task or to implement this new project. Let me see if she has the skill set. Like I see the growth in her. And so let's do this quick assessment to see like what areas we could enhance, or maybe this is not the right time. This project's going to be a heavy lift and it's going to need someone that can really kind of take it and run with it on their own. But right now I would need to be a little more hands-on. So let's figure it out. So different type of assessments. There's the personality assessments. As you might all be aware, Iowa CASA references the Enneagram assessment often. And so it's a numbers assessment. And essentially, there's other ones like the Myers-Briggs and the Big 5 personality traits. And so it just really delves into employees' personality traits or preferences. And I already put the Enneagram in the chat. Hopefully that's the free version. But if you are interested in figuring out what your number is, I am a 1. And so that's I don't know what they call it now, but perfectionist is what they called it prior, but it has a new title. But then how that personality interacts, or how that personality shows up in times of stress, or when that personality is unhealthy, what they need to do, or how they need to be approached. So really cool, just ways of like ensuring that how you're communicating amongst your team, right? Because we're all going to be a little bit different. Is effective for everybody. And how do we align the team? Like, where are the gaps? Like, oh, we have a lot of type A personalities. Like, maybe we need to break this up a little bit to get some fun and spontaneity in here. It can identify strengths that can be leveraged for potential areas of development, and personality assessments can improve job satisfaction and performance by matching individuals with roles that align with their natural inclinations and preferences. Not to say that you only get a role that you like or that you prefer, but like, oh, let's really align how you show up in the world and really value that human factor of it. And then, of course, the engagement and satisfaction surveys. So really just plays a pivotal role in understanding and improving the overall well-being of the employee within the organization. They measure their commitment to the organization, how they're feeling. They encompass various aspects of their experience, including work-life balance, job satisfaction, whatever it is you're trying to gather, you can kind of tailor that. And there's a list of different types of assessments, but I think the key takeaway in all of this is they're only going to be helpful if they're used effectively. So it will be essential to define clear objectives and align the assessments with the mission or the values and the vision of your organization, or what the company is trying to accomplish with their goals and values. And another important aspect of doing any of these assessments is communicating the objectives with the employee. So like, this is why we're doing this. So they understand the purpose, and they feel like, okay, I can engage fully. And the third piece I would say about any type of assessment is you want to make sure that you're utilizing the thing, right? If you're gathering all this data, we're doing satisfaction surveys, and then there's no communication of either the outcome or how we use this outcome and what we're implementing, like that's going to be it's going to feel performative, right? So we did all this satisfaction survey, and then you may have implemented a new thing, right? I know we get busy as leaders, and it's like, oh, I heard that complaint or that need or whatever. It's like, okay, this is what we're going to do to address that. But there wasn't a communication to say like, hey, based on the satisfaction survey, we've implemented a shorter work week, and that will start this day, and this is how we're going to do it. So being very cognizant of like communicating when you're utilizing the data or the information that you collected, so it doesn't feel like it fell on like false ground, I guess is a way to say that. Any questions so far? Any input? Okay. So I like to have like practical application when I'm in training. And so that's what we're going to kind of do next, is just talk about like practical things you could possibly implement as you are trying to develop your professional development strategy or plan. Some things you can do is really integrate it into your supervision. So if you're meeting monthly, like what does that look like? Do you have a template? I am currently working on a template for my supervision. And if you're interested, once I finish it, I can send that out to you. Just let me know. But like in supervision, we're going to check here. We're going to check in on your physical, emotional, interpersonal needs. And then I'm going to talk about projects and deadlines and where you're at with that. But then I want that back and forth feedback. What can I do better for you? What do you need from me? And like, oh, here's the area of professional development. So we're going to take the last 30 minutes and just kind of do the skill building. Being sure that you're implementing goal setting during those times too, and just creating those plans. Job shadowing. This can be done amongst peers, amongst leaders, amongst coalition staff, like really utilizing the things that you have at your fingertips and for your resources, or as your resources to enhance the experience of each of your employees. So if someone you know is really interested in leadership, like, okay, hey, I've got this project I'm working on. Let me pull you into this. And we'll have an example shortly after this, a way you can do that after this slide. The peer learning, so connecting your more seasoned staff with your newer staff, which could be a mutually beneficial exchange, right? You've got all this experience and knowledge from the movement, and I've got all this maybe tech knowledge, or like, oh, this is a way you can do that same thing and be more efficient. I don't know why it keeps doing that. But also integrating professional development into, oh, I skipped coaching and mentoring, right? Really connecting people with others to help them excel. It can be from a supervisory perspective, but it could also be from a peer perspective, or just reaching out. Like if you have connections, like, hey, I've got a staff member that would be great with HR stuff. Like, can I connect this person with you? Like just to kind of talk through questions or anything like that. And integrating professional development into your staff meetings. So we're going to take 30 minutes and we're going to talk about internal communication standards and how we communicate amongst ourselves and amongst each other, and what that looks like to be effective. So taking the time when you're in shared space to continue to invest in the development of your people. So one way that you can do that is called the scaffolding approach. And this increases learning through a series of steps, right? And with each step, there's a little more responsibility. So it helps build confidence and competence progressively. So it's the I do, we do, you do. And it is exactly how it sounds. So initially, you're going to model the skill, have that person observe you, and then you're going to debrief it. So an example would be, Ari's going to observe me facilitating a complex, high-stakes meeting with partners. And in the debrief, I'm going to invite Ari to break down what she saw, what I was doing, and then I'm going to offer Ari the perspective and share the rationale for the choices I made during that meeting. Then the we do is so then you have that other person do the task with you and debrief. So Ari and I are going to co-facilitate the next meeting. We're going to co-design the agenda. We're going to divide up the facilitation. We're going to talk about the logistics of marketing and all the things. Excuse me. And then after that, we're going to debrief. And then I'm going to share feedback on how Ari facilitated. And then the you do is where you have them do it on their own. And guess what? Debrief it, right? So the next meeting, Ari's going to facilitate on her own. She's going to handle all the logistics. She's going to do all the prep. And then afterwards, I'm going to be in the meeting and I'm going to observe it. And afterwards, Ari will reflect on what she learned, what she was proud of, and what she would do differently next time. And then I would provide that insight as well. And by starting with the modeling, the staff can see the skill in action, practice the skill together, and that provides a safe space for practice and guidance. And then the following is that independent execution, which reinforces that autonomy. And so debriefing at each stage is going to be super, super important for this method to ensure that the staff members reflecting on their progress, identifying growth areas, and gets actionable feedback. And so it also it's another way to develop skill and build a culture of collaboration between yourself as the manager and maybe the staff person. Has anyone ever experienced this type of approach, or are you currently using it?
I think we do something close to that when we're training new advocates to at first observe the seasoned advocate, and then not so much the we do, but then kind of letting them do it, the you do part, and then getting some guidance after that. So
Awesome.
we're kind of missing the we do it together in some circumstances. I wouldn't say all, but
yeah.
And the we do and the you do.
Yep. And sometimes the we do is important because it's the things that maybe are just natural for me to do in the process. Like, oh, I did this, I checked this, I called this person and set this up. That if you slow down and like have to teach it, it's like, oh, I did skip that big step of like, you have to email these people to do this things to invite, all those little things. But awesome. Good to hear. Okay, so the stretch assignment. So this will allow someone to practice new skills by dialing up the stakes or the complexity of responsibility. And so when you give a stretch assignment, you want to share how you think this will help the person grow, why it is immediately useful for their role or the work, or how it will help them prepare for an opportunity. You want to offer support and ask what they need to be successful. So for example, this is what this could look like. I'd like you to own facilitating meetings for our local advisory committee. I think it'll strengthen group cohesion and relationship building since you already support these organizations individually. I think it's a challenge that you're ready for. What do you think? And what support do you need from me? So that's just kind of like how, like this is an added level of responsibility, but you want to stretch the individual so that they're actually gaining some skill. And the one thing about using this method that I want to point out is that you don't want this to be like a moment, I'm putting you in a situation to fail, right? The idea is not failure, not that failure is bad, but it's like, hey, I see this skill in you and like, let's stretch it. You don't want to like jump over the pool and land in the concrete, right? Let's just do some easy work. Like you're already in this space. You're already working with these people. All right, this is how I want you to take on this next level. And really just creating that space that gives them the opportunity to enhance their skill while still feeling supported. Can you give me an example of when this could be used for you within the advocacy world? And you can put it in the chat if you'd like, or unmute. have you all been put in a stretch assignment, maybe unknowingly? That's the part we don't want to do, is just throw people. Well, Melissa, your example of day one was the ultimate stretch. I'm thankful for you for sticking around, because I'd have been like, nope, no, thank you. Okay. And then individual development plans. Are you, oh, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
I just try to find ways to, if we're going back to the other top, can you go back to the other slide?
Yeah.
Yeah, the stretch, sorry, I can't think of the word, the stretch assignments. I know that we are looking at shifting different responsibilities over, for example, like community outreach. Like I feel like I spent a lot of time trying to coordinate that with staff of who wants to go to this tabling thing, or, you know, we got invited to do this and stuff like that. And like, I would like to get that off of my plate and, you know, have somebody else take the lead of something like that. So I'm always like trying to, you know, find who would be best to kind of take this project on. The other thing is when we're doing reporting, progress reports, everybody likes to skip the narratives. And I'm like, you guys are doing the work. Like I can work and mold the narrative, but I need something to work with. But if you're just giving me blank pages, like they'll fill in the numbers part of it, but when it comes
Uh-huh.
to narratives, they're like maybe a one sentence, and I'm like, well, it's a narrative, it's not like you got to give me more. Like I can help you with the language stuff, you know, if you're not sure, or write it in Spanish, and Nancy and I can figure it out how to mold the narrative and stuff. But when you don't give me anything to go on, so really working with staff on creating the narratives, right, and giving them that and giving it back to them and say, okay, now I want you to really work on this narrative and showcase your work, because you are doing great work. And so how do you write that in that narrative,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so just like different things. I'm not sure if that's what you mean, but really
Yeah.
trying to build their skills, because I don't want to put anybody in the situation that I was. If I get hit by a bus tomorrow, I want Luna to go on. So I'm starting to teach staff different, like this is how I do payroll, this is how you log on. So in case like I'm the only one that knows how to do payroll right now, for example, or you know, but it's skills that you don't do every day. Like that's my main duty. But if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, then I know that somebody can come in and do payroll, and that Luna won't come to a standstill, you know,
Yep.
type of thing. So those are more what I, you know, relate to with stretch assignments, along with, you know, like some of the examples that you gave, like giving a person the lead to facilitate, or, you know, to be a part of, you know, the community meetings that I'm at, or, you know, what have you. So.
Yes, that is exactly it. Like, and even if you don't get hit by a bus, like there are things that you could pass off, right? Like, okay, let's teach someone to do this. Like, even breaking down some of the gatekeeping that has historically happened, like, okay, someone else needs to know how to do this. So I can take a break. I can go on vacation if I need to, and know that payroll will be okay. And I not have to take my laptop and log in. Really just trust in the people. And there's going to be moments where you're like, oh, maybe I trusted you, I stretched you too far. And that's okay. We're going to dial it back. Let's talk about like what happened, because we were really moving forward. This was good. What was the issue with the big jump? Like, help me understand the barriers. How can we regroup and move it forward? So absolutely, those are all great stretch assignments. And even if you are the word that comes to mind is like finessing, but that's not the word. But like if you're redrafting the narrative, having the person that gave you the idea sitting next to you, like, okay, talk me through it. Okay, this is how we can word that when we put it in the narrative, right? Those storytelling things, or having that person, hey, I want you to watch this storytelling webinar because this is what, you know, OVW has put out, because this is what they want to hear from the work that we're doing. And now more than ever, is this work important, or is the storytelling important to show like, this is a value, this is needed, we are important. So really like even having those people right with you, like, okay, we're going to spend the next 2 hours drafting the narratives together. It doesn't have to be an individual thing, but just so you know, like, okay, that's the language, that's what you're asking me to do. And so then the next time it's like, okay, I want you to draft it by yourselves, and then we're going to come back together and do it together until you get to the point where you can just draft that narrative on your own. And all I have to do is review it add some tweaks here and we can keep it moving forward. Absolutely. Those are great options and opportunities. Any other stretch assignments that you could see happening? Mary, you said that you were kind of preparing staff for the takeover. Okay, that sounds terrible, but like for when you when you leave, what does that look like for you?
It involves a lot of explaining. What I try to do is pass on, and this has been a careful balance, passing on more leadership responsibilities, going to meetings, representing the agency, giving them an opportunity to kind of step out more in the spotlight, so to speak. I don't know that that's the right word.
Yeah.
And doing more of the helping with grants and some of those bigger picture items, and then taking the time to explain, because the one piece of it, a lot of times it would be easier and less time consuming to just do it myself,
Absolutely.
but that doesn't build capacity in others.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely. And that was the other thing. A lot of the things we're talking about today requires time. And we are in this place where it's just like, oh, I just got to get it done. But like, we have to take a minute to take a break and be like, okay, yes, I have to get this done. And it's important for others to develop this skill and to feel ownership within our program, within our work, within our movement. How can I foster that? So I'm hopeful that some of these techniques are going to be helpful to you in that way. And then what about individual development plans? I know we haven't talked about it, but are any of you using anything like that with like career advancement, staff development, training, anything? Or is it something you would consider? Consider? Okay. Okay. So the individual development plan is really like a document that is utilized to talk about how I go from here to here or wherever I'm headed, right? And some components of that are like, what are your current strengths? What are areas of growth? What are some career goals? Like clearly articulate where you see yourself going as an individual. What are my long-term? What are my short-term? Excuse me, what are those SMART goals or those actionable steps that we can take to get you to achieve those goals? What are some resources that either you need to have or that you need to review, or, you know, how can we help you get there? Like those tangible resources. What's that timeline look like? And how often are we reviewing and providing feedback into this plan? And so this is a quick example of like what one looks like. I can't remember where this one was from, but Ari's going to drop in the chat one that I found from Duke, which is definitely an educational setting, but I feel like it really is intentional and it can be more helpful for our movement. So I want you to take a few minutes to review that and kind of just see, let me see. Well, hopefully we'll get it out there. And if not, I can grab it real quick, but review that and see like what could work and how you would shift it. It's definitely for educational setting. Like I acknowledge that, but it even has pieces of like self-care. There are so many individual individual development plans out there. Find one that works for your agency and your organization. Take what you need. Don't use what you don't, tweak it. But I think ultimately what I want to share with this plan, I don't want you to, think that it's a punitive thing. Like, so oftentimes what happens is we're in supervision and there's a behavior or there's something that needs to be addressed. And so then we are like, we're going to put you on a performance plan or a development plan, whatever the language is for that. But this one is a little bit more like proactive, like, okay, I can identify what my weaknesses are, or like, you know what, as we've been working through these projects, I don't have the skill to do X, Y, and Z. Can we add that to my plan? So really, take some time to review it, but ultimately, like this should be something that's collaborative and a living document almost. So like think through that and think about how this could work for you. And I'll give you about 5 minutes to review that and then we'll share out.
Um,
I did put, it was full of bread.
Okay.
Larry just saw.
Mary,
that.
you're not
Did
muted.
you see how we tied it with grass?
Oh, no.
We didn't need to, because the hooks are still there.
Are these two different samples, the one that's up on the screen and then the one that Ari put in the chat? There's like two different forms for the same thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was muted. There are multiple individualized development plans, but yes, they're two of the same thing. So you can kind of see like, oh, what works for me? Because that one is a lot of pages, and I know that can overwhelm people. Like, 5 pages, nope, not even doing it. But pull out what you need.
Thanks for the clarification. I saw this one and then I saw the other one. I'm like, that's way more.
It
I
is.
like the short and sweet one.
Yep. Got a couple more minutes to review and then talk me through what you're thinking. No problem, Melissa. All right, does anyone need more time to review or are we good to go? Tell me what you see with the longer one that you could maybe use in your organization, or do you prefer the shorter one that is just on the screen?
I prefer the shorter one that's on the screen.
Yeah.
And we do have development plans when
Awesome.
we do annual reviews. We do a development plan and we follow up with that. So, um,
And is that like a living document for you? Like where
yes.
every month in supervision, we're like, okay, where are we at? Or is it like just each year we're reviewing?
Well, it's on when we do our annual reviews, we'll review that at that time, see where we're at. And then I know we need to schedule or set up a more throughout the year schedule where 2 months out or 3 months out after that on that. But we do have something similar to this.
Awesome. Awesome. And feel free, if you want to share, drop yours in the chat. We are a coalition, so if there's something already developed that we can tweak and use, when you're comfortable with that, we are more than willing. Or if you want to send them to myself or Ari and we can collate them in an email, we could do that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any others? Is this something that would be helpful to you, or you're like, oh, I don't know? What's initial response? Oh, I guess it's just Mary. I thought we had a couple more, but they dropped off.
I like the short and simple. To me, that's practical, but
Okay.
I took a deeper dive into the longer one, and the one piece that I want to integrate is the piece on mentors and other feedback. I think so often I fall into the trap, or I guess I never really thought about who else can be a mentor. It doesn't have to
Mhm.
always be me, and
Yep.
in fact, it shouldn't always be me.
Yeah. And I think too, for fair, like all the things you're carrying is like, how effective am I going to be as your mentor or as the mentor for 14 people or 3
Yeah.
people? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. All right. We're going to get done a little early today. Look at there. What is one thing, just a quick reflection, one thing you can do in the next month to enhance your staff's professional development?
Um, if this is maybe just a simple, right now we're working on our grant renewal for VAS. So I think I let my team do most of the heavy lifting, but then I usually do the final edits and make them a little more grant speaky.
Mm-hmm.
So I think spending more time showing these are the edits I made, this is why.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's hard to do. Just the challenge, I think one of the biggest challenges is my supervisors are awesome when it comes to supervising advocates and doing that
Mhm.
unconditional support and the love and all the things. Sometimes that technical writing piece just isn't in their wheelhouse. And
Yep.
the other piece, at the end of the day, if I had to choose one or the other, um,
Yeah.
yeah, but I can also push them to do both.
Yeah, absolutely. So trying to do some stretch, and sometimes the stretch assignments, even though we're creating those for others, it's a stretch for us too, because it's like now I gotta sit and explain and do, and then like even deal with the emotions behind like, well, why did you change my sentence? Like
Yeah.
I hear all of that. Like it was great and it helped me develop this, but in order to get funded, like these are the things that they're going to be looking at, or that they maybe not say that they care about, but like this is how we have to structure things, and this is the why behind that. Absolutely. Leela, what about you?
Um, just reflecting on that question. Let's see. I know, forward thinking, we have added different things to, for example, a narrative for our advocates, where they write narratives to give them some more writing skills and understand um, the part of the why behind, why are you asking for this? They may ask, why are you asking for this? And, as our executive director writing the grants, they can reflect back and say, okay, now I understand why you're writing this, or you're needing this information. So, that's stretching them some too, because some of them, like you said, may not have the writing skills or techniques, but giving them the opportunity to do that. But moving forward with other little things that they can do to, stretch their um, vision, mission.
Absolutely. Good. So stretch assignments seem to be like something that's resonating, like trying to do something different. Wonderful. Are there questions or comments for me, or things you all need from us to help with that professional development? Do you want us to send something? I don't know, like what is it? What can we do to help enhance professional development. Or any other questions or comments you'd like to share? All right. Well, thank you all for being here today. I appreciate you. I believe you'll be sent an evaluation. Please give me all the feedback so I can make this better and enhance the training. So looking forward to hearing from you all, and then you will get your certificates. Give me a couple weeks. I know we're out next week for INSEC, so just bear with us as we're adjusting. My goal is to try to get them done this week so it's not lingering, but I will get those sent to you. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your week and your day.
Thank you.